Let's talk about Terry Funk. He's going to debut here on the February 11th show. There's about 1,200 fans in attendance, a lot of ICP fans there. Some of that is paper, maybe 40 to 45%, according to Meltzer. But Terry Funk debuts, and it's written that it was sadly uneventful. Dave believes that Funk should have done a month's worth of promos building to his debut, but instead he's just Sandman's partner of the week. And boy, Sandman, he catches some shrapnel here in their match against Julio De Niro and CM Punk. He gets knocked unconscious. He's knocked out cold. And afterwards, he's asking the opponents in the match, "Hey, did you hit me with a chair?" And they're both denying it. And he's not mad. He's just trying to figure out what the hell happened. And it turns out it was actually Punk who threw the chair that struck him. And several wrestlers overheard the conversation and they remembered seeing Punk throw the chair, but they just didn't want to get involved. But there wound up being a little bit of heat on Punk for quote unquote not coming clean. But one wrestler was giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he may have simply forgotten that he threw the chair. Not going to say it was a big deal, but I do want to ask what you remember about bringing Terry Funk in and about this chair shot that sent Sandman to Dream Street.
You know, Dave is right. We should have done a month's worth of promos, but the flip side of that is running by the seat of our pants. No iPhones where you could just say, "Hey man, can you shoot us a couple of videos?" You'd have to have a camera crew, and then to get a camera crew, "Hey Terry, Amarillo, can we get a camera crew?" "Okay, yeah, we can do that, about $5,000. Yeah, just the logistics. God, my how times change. But yeah, the Funker came in. When you just kind of on paper, if you just sat down as me and you, Conrad, did to do this show and say, "Hey, we're going to talk about Punk, Sandman, and Funk in this tag," you would just go, "What?" But yeah, early days of TNA were some crazy stuff. But Terry, obviously my dad go way, way back. And so Funker was being Funker.
There was a bit of an uncomfortable exchange before the show. According to the Observer, there was some tension between Shane Douglas and Terry Funk prior to the show. As all the wrestlers were getting their instructions for the show's opening segment, Funk approached Douglas and apparently asked if they could let bygones be bygones. Those watching from a distance say Douglas made it clear he didn't want anything to do with Funk and basically blew him off. The heat between the two stems from an incident that took place while the two of them were working a match at XPW, and Funk was cut by a bottle, which he blamed Douglas for. Do you remember hearing that perhaps Shane and Terry had an issue that stemmed back to a XPW circumstance?
Man, I'd love to dive into this. I have zero recollection of this.
You're in the middle of some controversies about independent bookings. The first happened in Ocala. It's a match against Dory Funk. It's written here that Funk made a deal through Bob Ryder, who he had worked with on Ryder's website, onewrestling.com. The two had an arrangement where Funk would write columns on the site in exchange for Ryder's onewrestling.com show, promoting all the Funk's wrestling schools and promotion stuff that he had going. And then I guess there was a deal reached for Jarrett to defend the NWA title against Dory Funk for $2,000. And Meltzer would say Jarrett's wife was due to deliver that week and wasn't that hot about him leaving her for a booking. The Funk side claimed they believe TNA would promote the event on its website, TV, and pay-per-views. I believe there were mentions on the website that Jarrett was going to be there. Funk wanted to have a 30-minute match when he got there, and Jarrett wanted to go home at 13 minutes, but they compromised at 18 minutes. And Adam Windsor turned heel on Funk and cost him the match. The show only drew 190 fans, only $1,800, not even enough to pay Jeff. And Funk stopped payment on the check, claiming that his side didn't promote the show enough, and they stopped payment on a check to Ryder for about $550 in travel expenses. Jerry Jarrett, who has a relationship with Funk dating back more than 30 years, claimed it wasn't a TNA business deal, but a business deal between Ryder, Jeff, and Funk when asked about the lack of promotion on their end. And that led to Ryder dropping Funk from his website after his bank called about the check, apparently dropping Funk from some sort of a trading card deal he'd put together with former wrestling legends. Boy, this just got ugly in a hurry. What went sideways with you and Bob Ryder and Dory Funk Jr.? Oh my.
I chuckled. The most out of that is that Dory Funk, I've said it 1,000 or a lot of times on this podcast, was my father's favorite world champion. When I got the opportunity to actually go wrestle him, do you think for a minute, Conrad, that I'd say, no, we're going to go home at 13, Dory? I mean, just like, but to Dave wrote this or Keller?
Dave.
Okay. But this is, I can't say 100% Bob Ryder narrative, but it is pretty damn close because they had a falling out. I don't know exactly what, whoa, let me back up. When I say they, I'm going to say Bob and Marty, Dory's wife. That's where, diplomatically speaking, the communication broke down because I think Marty might have been under the impression that it was going to be advertised more than it was, maybe a mention on a Wednesday night. I don't think we were ever even conveyed that. We put it on the website, to my knowledge. On the other hand, I don't know where it all broke down. I can remember I was a little upset because they actually did stop payment on it. I got paid finally, but it was much to do about nothing. But as I sit here today, it was Bob and Marty getting into it, and me and Dory were kind of shrapnel, if you will, a part of it. But it was a stink internally, but it was what it was. Unfortunate. But I do remember me and Dory talking, and he said, hey, let's just go out there and wrestle. And I'm like, okay. We did a short arm scissor. Adam Windsor was his student for all those years, and they did an angle with it. And there's the sign, and there's Dory, and bang wrestling. And but you know, a bucket list item for myself is that you know, I got to wrestle Nick Bockwinkel. I got to wrestle Dory Funk Jr. Those kind of memories. Look, I'm sitting here talking about it today. That it's special for me. Even me sitting here today, you know, when I think about all the years that me and Stung fought each other and the crazy 12-man tag, but standing in that ring last night, it's the wrestling fan in me, or the little boy who wanted to become a wrestler in me, comes out in me because I'm respectful of the business. So that opportunity, but it was just total BS that Dory wanted to go 30 and I wanted to go home at 13. That's just.
How'd you get paid eventually?
Dory and Marty sent me a check. And well, I tell you what, they didn't send it. They hand delivered it at the Impact Zone in Orlando.
I got you.
Because this is 04, 05.
Yeah, that's a 4.
Yeah. So we didn't start down there till 06, 05 into it was there was a lot. I'd forgot about it. I'm just like, okay, it was what it was. I understood that there was wrestling.com was involved. There was a lot more politics involved, and I wasn't going to go chase that. But ton of respect for Marty and Dory that however long it was later, they came and said, hey, here's your money. I said, well, very, very nice of you.